Keycard presents Back Issue Bloodbath with your hosts, Andrew Young and Petula Neal.
You can try to fight it, but eventually you end up joining the family business. Welcome to Back Issue Bloodbath. I'm Andrew Young.
I'm Petula Neal.
And this week on Bloodbath, we are looking at the comic The Banks, originally released as a 6-part graphic novel drawn by Ming Doyle and written by Roxane Gay. It is a crime story that deals with 3 different generations. Petula, tell us a little bit more about The Banks, this plotline, because I know this is one of your picks, and tell us how you came across it.
Well, under judging books by their cover, we also have colors by homegirl Jordie Bellaire here.
Jordie Bellaire, yeah.
So the color and the name of it, and then it had Roxane, Ming, and Jordie's names, like legit, honestly, this was one of those, I'll just buy it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. And I did. If any of you ever listened to some of my film festival stuff back when I had it, there was a lot of like spreadsheeting of lists and things that went into things. And then there was, it's got person X plus like the single picture from an entire movie. Looks cool. Let me just add that when you're trying to like fill in holes for like 35 movies. I had no idea what it was about when I picked it up. So it was truly enjoyable to sort of fall into the story from young love / a couple that robs together, stays together, I guess. And you see the first generation of 3 generations, sort of very matriarchal line of basically burglars. You know, they are breaking and entering, but I feel like it's more, if we're going by the pure Scott Lang definition, as they seem to, for the most part, avoid physical conflict and interacting with other people's belongings when they aren't there. I think they're more on the burgle scale.
Yeah, no, totally. They're all about entering through doors that were locked when they showed up, but unlocked when they were done. Definitely.
Yeah. And it's just really represented as a good way for a series of mothers, single or in non-traditional child creation situations, to make money, put food on the table, and to gradually sort of increase by generation the opportunities for their offspring. So by the time we get to the third Banks, who we spend most of the story with, she's done all the air quotes right things, gone to the right schools, got the good investment banking job, but ultimately decides to join the family business for myriad reasons. And they take a job that's mysterious, but possibly very dangerous and lucrative for very personal reasons for all 3 generations. Because the backstory of the grandmother and the grandfather, who was also a burglar, we see that he ended up doing some time and was betrayed, even though he kept his mouth shut about one of the reasons why he was picked up. And he was rewarded for that loyalty with getting a nice shiv in the guts. So grandma's got reasons to want to rob this person's business later on, as does mom, as does daughter. It's just a good old-fashioned family revenge burglary. And yeah, they're all Black ladies, which, you know, once I got into it, and I mean, I figured with Roxane Gay being the writer, it was probably going to be Black ladies. But like from the cover, it's like very sort of shades of green, like you can tell, but yeah, it's blackety black. And, you know, you do have like good white boyfriend in here. So it's not hashtag not all white people, but like I'd say the ratio of the white people being the villains, it's sort of like, as soon as you hear a British accent in a Disney film, you're sort of like, ruh-roh, what's Uncle Scar up to? So
yeah. Essentially, it's a heist story that's built on revenge, and it is a somewhat broken family in the sense that the youngest generation, which I believe is Celia, right? Celia, yeah. Celia, when she found out that her mother and her grandmother were burglars when she was younger, she did not take to that kindly. And so that's always created a rocky road between her and her parents. And that is kind of also what's happening in the story. The story is about kind of healing those bonds, because nothing brings you together like revenge and money.
Yeah. And building on the skills that you learn as a family, you know, and continual learning, like grandma being like, got to figure out biometrics, studying up, you know, she's not all toothpicks and hairpins. like researching online to help figure out how to do some of the new electronic side of robbery that's happening. But it really is just a great example of families sort of having baseline skills. You see one of the middle Banks, the mother of Celia, learning how to basically pick locks at the kitchen table with her mother while her dad's in jail. Just like fun bonding with mom.
Oh yeah.
And and then the youngest daughter takes her in high portfolio for questionable clients, investment banking background, to figure out how to move billions of dollars in crypto. Was it?
It was millions of dollars. Yeah.
Millions of dollars in crypto, 300 million. Yeah. Crypto, without making it traceable. Yeah.
Yeah, and then having to switch on the fly with different options as well. But the thing is, as much as Clara, the grandmother, is learning, at the same time, she's scoffing at the very much white collar robbery that Celia is leaning into. That is like kind of the actual like presentation for some of them to argue over instead of dealing with their actual problems, which is something that the mother Cora continues to point out throughout the story. She's like, you guys got to fix your problems, but they use the old school crime to new school crime as kind of the platform on where they can continue to have their fight without saying what they really want to say. And so in moments like that, you got some really good subtext going on and some smart dialogue for that. But it's odd because the story does kind of come uneven with the dialogue. Like the plot line, strong throughout the entire thing. Like it's a very well put together plot. But the dialogue is uneven because you get really good moments like that. And then you get crazy exposition scenes. But it's not just like expositions of like explaining what's happening, but explaining people's emotions. Like the boyfriend, the cop that's trying to stop the Banks family, and all of the villains of this story are all more archetypes. And that took something it was a bit for me getting used to in the story. Because at first, because it's like you get these scenes between Clara and her husband, and it's like, okay, these are like believable, like how two people react when they're first getting to know each other and all that stuff. And then it would cut to like just random investment bankers who are saying the dumbest lines ever. Yes, most venture capitalist banker lawyer types are complete douchebags, but there's a bit too much douche speak in those parts. It's like, okay, you're overdoing the douchiness. There was an unevenness to the dialogue that I think the plot line and the strength of the plot line really makes up for.
Yeah, weirdly, I didn't really notice that the white men in suits were just reduced to a stereotype, while the three black women actually got to have different characters. What a reversal for us! How fun! I'm loving where we are right now. I love this for us.
Yeah, but it wasn't just like also the cop, the Latino cop. She has the worst lines in the story.
Yeah,
she is just so like it was sort of like we got this great story, but we need a little bit more.
She was like a Montoya without any personality.
Yeah, we need like a mid-level antagonist to represent that they're on somebody's radar. And I felt like it was just like cribbed from every cop movie you can think of for her character. I kind of feel like, to me, if you just jettison that cop out of there completely, it's a bit more like the unevenness really isn't as noticeable. But because you have that cop there who is just like walking, talking exposition and freaking like very much the stereotypical, the angry Latina cop that pops up in a lot of stuff in the past 20 years, it was sort of like, we don't need that character in there if that's the way the character is going to be, in my opinion.
I did like the fact that she definitely still had the story of the other at work, though, where she knew this, or even, you know what, let's just put it something relatable then for other folks. Harry Potter in the sixth book, when he's like, he knew Draco was up to something. So she knew that they were up to something. Nobody else believed her. She's like, I'm just going to do my own research and just keep doggedly sitting alone in this car, following these women around and going to these places. And she was right.
No, again, plot, great. Plot, great.
Yeah, that part.
Characterization, though, she says the exact same thing in every scene she's in. She says the exact same thing. It's like you could actually look as like, she just moved that word around there. That's the thing. That cop is.
Well, she's saying the same thing, but nobody else she works with is listening to her. So yeah.
Well, she's only telling one guy, and we already established that guy was really dumb. That's what I'm saying. It's like switch it up a bit.
I'm okay with everybody in the background being just background because the pacing of the switching between the different storylines. The mom and her girlfriend didn't get as much.
No, they were very transitional. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were more of a bridge to getting to that kind of grandmother relationship. And again, having just seen Encanto not that long ago, that judgy abuela energy that we're getting from the grandmother here, that's your way into the story. That's the two most interesting stories are the grandmother and the granddaughter.
Right.
And
yeah. So with that, it's like, why not just, since if you're only going to use Cora as like a bridge character, why even bother with doing the really ham-fisted quick version of her getting together with her wife and just show her with her wife? There's certain things in this that I feel like it's like, okay, if they switched that, if they took that scene out and put more time on another scene, is the point is to get more on Celia, the daughter, and Clara, the grandmother, tighten Cora's story even more. So it just doesn't feel like you're rushing through it.
I kind of liked it. It was like a safe interlude. Them falling in love. She meets her doctor. Her doctor's like, meets her when she's knocked up with her gay friend's baby.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm into everything this woman's putting down. I'm going to give her a referral so I could like get up under them stirrups again, but off the clock, if you know what I'm saying. I love that.
But they shoved that whole story into 3 pages. They really did.
Yeah, it was. Their getting together was sort of the quickest. It almost made it seem kind of throwaway, but I did like that later on we just always see her partner there. Like this.
I think that's great.
Met her
Definitely
ride or die.
Yeah.
Super handy to have a doctor and a family of burglars,
Yeah.
You stumble, you fall off ladders, you get some deep tissue sprain injuries. And guess what? Just because you're still a criminal doesn't mean you can't take advantage of the fact that your stepmom / daughter-in-law is a doctor as well. So it's great for the whole family.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. I feel like there are a lot of characters in this book and not enough space for them all. I would have even wanted maybe another 2 chapters on this story.
Yeah, I think if they had a little more, actually, I don't think I'm okay with a little more story, but I'm okay if they leave the characters around them the way they are, slightly underdeveloped. Because all the other characters are basically like what mostly happens to women in colors and other stuff, where they're just there for plug them in for what we think of this whole whatever.
Yeah, but I don't like that in those stories either. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying.
I like it, but we don't need any more. I don't need to know more about the guys at work.
Well, I don't need to know more about them. I just need them to talk a bit less. I don't know. It just feels kind of too fast in certain parts. I feel like it's fast all over.
I've been in spaces where there's so many moments when you have that, I might actually want to hurl, and you just learn to not hear it and turn it all into Charlie Brown noise. And occasionally something is kind of out of order to where it breaks through, and you laugh instead of having maybe a normal reaction. Like the first time I ended up on the trade show circuit and had one of the salespeople ask me at the booth, "Hey, do my pants smell like stripper?" And they were not joking. There was a bit of glitter still. It's these are the other individuals that I was working with were all like the guys at the office. We all finished working for the day. I went and met clients at the restaurant after working the booth, and then was the first one there the next day to set everything up, and they came in with that energy, and that's not unusual. That was more days than not, especially at some of my jobs. So yeah, I think I definitely struggle less with the guys at the office, because I'm yep, no, that checks out. I think it's more very authentic.
No, that does feel authentic.
For her to get where she was, she had to just never say anything. The not getting the promotion moment felt oh, I'm supposed to hate these people, and they just wanted to speed that up. So
that's fine. I don't get the whole them having a conversation about their client is Dirk Johnson.
Yeah.
Yet the next scene, nobody refers to him really as Dirk Johnson again, and everybody in the clientele knows that. Oh, in the piece in the files that we have, his name is actually this.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does he have a name called Dirk Johnson? That's what I'm saying. It's those parts. You either got to explain it better or just jettison it, in my opinion.
Yeah. It was also giving a bit of the firm kind of, once you got up to partner level or certain thing, you sort of knew that half of the clients had fake names because they had a bunch of sketchy clients. But she wasn't in that circle yet. but
Right.
because she was interested in this client, that's how she found out. But again, I'm filling in gaps, but I'm also doing the same stuff that we do when we're watching movies and we know that they're skipping stuff. And sometimes your guesses are right, sometimes your guesses are wrong. But for this, I could definitely see it being, we know that she's othered at work, even though she's been othering her family because she's like, I'm not like you.
Because she wants, she wants to get ahead. So
so she's othered her family, but meanwhile at work, she's never the one in the know. She's always the last one to find out, like the thing that everybody else knows. Yeah. But yeah. So
I think my favorite part of this though was probably the actual like heist portions itself. Like when they get
heist.
when they get to the meat, everything that's heist wise, I think is pretty tight and pretty full. And I really enjoyed that stuff.
Yeah. And I would recommend this as well if you out there listen to the main channel show and agreed with my suggestion of Super Crooks as one of the best TV shows of the year.
I still haven't checked out Super Crooks.
TV genre? Was it regular TV or TV genre? I don't even know. But yeah, Super Crooks in a way kind of similar in that we focus on the villains, but like you get to know all the different villains and you have like your, smart ones, the ones that maybe aren't as smart, the funny ones, whatever. And then all of the air quotes good guys, like whether it's the cops or the superheroes, they're all the same. Like they're painted very one note. There's a couple that you spend a bit more time with, but you're definitely more spending your time with the villains. And I kind of like that reversal. And I realized part of the reason I'm in a very, like, I'm not rooting for criminals in real life, depending on if the law is just or not, but let's not unpack all of that right now. But I realized, because we're about halfway through the book of Boba Fett right now, it's like, okay, we were introduced to Boba Fett as like this menacing silent villain. And then we get like after however many years, 40 years, all the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Or some of the rest of the story. And I'm like halfway through, it's like, I'm like fully ride or die for Boba Fett right now. Like, I'm just like, I'm side of the villain. I think that's
the same thing with this totally is that you're dealing with.
Yeah. It's like laws. If you like the kind of story where you have to just double down with the fact that your leads are criminals at heart, and you like, this is a good story for you. But I think if you are looking for some sort of like giant kind of ethical like turnaround or doing it for the right reasons, they're doing it for their reasons, which I think are right for them.
Yeah. And I think that for the most part, like, this is a heist story. In a heist story, you're rooting for somebody who's going to rob somebody. And usually in a heist story like this, the people that they're robbing from aren't good people. So it's easy to follow this person. And there are no quote unquote good guys in that story like this. There's tons of crime. Like anybody that likes Parker gets that, So it's you basically, the protagonist is the person who's trying to complete the job and you're rooting for them to complete the job. So yeah, totally. I agree with that. If you actually are looking for ethical people in a story about robbing people, good luck. It's like,
yeah, definitely. Even the cop, one could argue, is without any evidence or proof. She's just harassing this family because they really haven't done anything until the end. Yeah,
exactly.
So,
she goes the first scene we see of her, she's threatening to rough up an old man to get information on them. So an old man who's just closing up his bar for the night,
just minding his black business. Yeah, this is a real, maybe there's no good guys anywhere. Maybe that's what the message is. But there's 3 good ladies, and what they're good at is burgling.
There you go. They're the best they are at what they do.
Yeah. And what
they do is burgle people.
Ends up being quite lucrative. You know what? It keeps a roof over 3 generations' heads, and then ultimately gives them enough to do that, that big score.
There you go.
And get out. Things I like about the art. I love Mama's ink. I think Mom's Ink is like one of my favorite character notes. And I also like that it's a nice kind of visual differentiation as well in certain scenes when you see them all together.
Right. Yeah.
Depending on how they're dressed and how they're
Cora's
positioned.
got the tats. Clara's got the gray hair. And Celia, of course, is got the long hair and definitely is drawn younger than everybody else. Totally.
Yeah. The long hair that may or may not be a weave. but
Oh,
because she
yeah,
has
yeah.
to go work with investment bankers, we all know about you can't bring those braids to work because it's not professional. Yeah. So she wouldn't be doing the bald haired look at the investment banking office, even though again, she's there late at night. Like that's the thing. She can get away with so much under pre-search because she is that one that's like there early, there late all the time, custodial staff, knows all their names. Like literally, like, there were so many parts of this, like, yep, that's me. Like one of the last pictures I took before the Penanigan was with some of the staff that did the cleaning where I worked because they were moving to another building that was part of the same kind of like organization we were renting from. And then they'd brought a present for the other person, another woman of color who also was always working late. And it was just like, yes, all of this tracks that like, if the person who's there late at night, if it's like that one Black woman and they're like, you're fully having conversations you probably wouldn't have with them in the daytime when like the rest of them are around, because it's like you acknowledge them as a human, all of that, those little touches, while they were light on character development in some areas, those ones felt like kind of filled in the world a little bit, but also felt like super relatable.
The artwork of Ming Doyle in this is pretty much up to par for her work. Of course, she did the kitchen before this, which is also another female heavy character piece. I think the art's really consistent in this and is compelling. The covers are really nice looking.
The covers are gorgeous. The faces are, I like that they have tried to make them visibly different, and it definitely helps later on when you're dealing with like the guys at work and the people they're going to rob. I'd say I would like a little more ass on everyone, even white boyfriend. The one thing I did notice, like the bums were a little flat in some angles, but you know, not everybody's all about that butt life. And maybe I just need to remember when you don't have anything with anyone in spandex, you're not getting that extra lift that you just get from the extra
Regular
tension,
pants.
that kind of fabric. Yeah. Most people are just wearing pants, slacks, skirts, dungarees, a comfortable trouser, lots of sensible flat shoes for the lesbian couple. Like we're not getting like the fun far sector outfits. I'm fine with it. Celia throws out some banger dresses in order to do her seducing. Love that she used her boob as like a fingerprint collection area. Like who knew? I've been wasting these all this time just as an extra place to wash underneath. I could have been using them to get fingerprints for biometrics.
Yes, you totally could have done that.
There's even one part of me, because I did agree with you that I wanted more. I always think about edits for saying things where I think the pacing's uneven, but anything at one point I was like, well, maybe they could have just killed the mom too and made it somehow related to this crime person. But I'm like, no, I like the fact that there's all three of them.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with the crew. The whole point is it's 3 generations. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, in my head as I was going through it, I was like, maybe because they did sort of like zip past the mother story to go to the daughter, I was like, they could have done something to make this hit more for her. But I think just her complete disillusionment with all of not just her work life, but her whole trying to do it right, but still getting some version of the treatment that the previous generations had, that made them decide, you know what, life of crime. Yeah.
Life of Crow. That sounds like they're going to open up like a careers booth and it's called Career Day. It's like, have you thought about a life of crime?
Yeah. It's like, oh, zoology or paleontology in honor of Ross Geller, or selling paper in Scranton. Nope, life of crime. That's the booth I'm going for.
Life of crime. These representatives from the Banks family, they got they got good pamphlets. Yeah, totally. Oh man. But so yeah, like overall, I think it's a fun story. It's an interesting story. And the 3 main characters are pretty well, 2 of the main characters, Clara and the grandmother, and Celia, the daughter, are really well fleshed out. The story is actually right now in development to become a major motion picture. And actually the publisher TKO Studios is involved, as is Roxane Gay. She's very excited to get to bring their story to the silver screen, as she put it. So yeah, so for those of you that might be too lazy to read this one, you can get the cheat sheet and watch the movie when it comes out. Overall, this is a fun story, and the artwork is pretty damn good. Worth your time checking out.
And the colors, as always, because Jordie is involved, fantastic. And definitely some devices that we see across other properties, and just best practices in general of certain characters have certain colors. When we have all 3 of the ladies together, we get that green sort of somewhere usually that we get from the covers. reminiscent of your American currency and
Yeah.
tying it all together. So there's some nice kind of subtle, just kind of good things with the way it's drawn, the way often the characters are positioned relative to each other that kind of help you know what's going on without the words. And I do think that this is one of those stories that shows, oh, this isn't a writer from the book writing world, where this is one of their first ones. They've already done some stuff at this point in the comic book world. So they're getting more used to the letting the panel tell the story, because we've noticed this with other writery types like Roxane, who go back and forth between book world and comic book world. As they get more comfortable in comic book world, it gets a little less wordy. And even the exposition, like I was thinking the one most exposition-y thing was when she was explaining to her future wife the conditions of her pregnancy. But to your point, they just like zip through that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not too bubbly on those panels. Like they kind of whip through it. So if anything, maybe they might have could have done with one more chapter, just to like give things a little more room to breathe. So I am excited to see what this would look like in another medium. I'm just going to throw out my dream casting for grandmother and granddaughter now. I don't know who I want for mom, but I'd love Angela Bassett for grandma and Kiki Palmer for the granddaughter.
Petula, we've come to the end of this episode. Where can people find you?
On Twitter at Obesacantavit, OBESACANTAVIT, and here with you.
And of course, you can find everything I do over at geekhardshow.com. Follow me on Twitter at geekhard. Follow this very show on Facebook at Back Issue Bloodbath, where we put up the new episode every week, except for that 1 week where things went bad a few weeks ago. Well, we don't talk about that. That never happened. And of course, the easiest way to make sure that you don't miss an episode is to subscribe to us on your podcasting platform of choice, be it the iTunes, the Apple Podcasts, the Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, the Spotify. And while you're there, please leave a 5-star rating and review, because it helps the analytics, and the more people that find out about us, well, that'll be better for all of us now, won't it? This has been Back Issue Bloodbath. I've been Andrew Young.
I've been Petula Neal.
Have yourself a good